and we're down. Oh, 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 we're down. Oh, 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 so we're down. Oh, we're down. Oh, whoa, you let your feet on the wall. Time has come as we are. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, but for the vote, do you dare we turn right? Oh, cause they will run you down to the door. Yeah, someday we'll run you down to the floor. Oh, and then down to the floor. Yeah, till you can't crawl no more. And when down we oh, oh.
This is Kim with Ramblings with Kim. There was always one problem with what they were trying to do in Aspen at the post office. They thought at the ripe old age of 34 that they knew more than I did. They were willing to go down as far as they had to sink as low as they had to go, to falsify police reports, to threaten to shoot people while they were on probation for beating up other carriers. They thought they could get away with all of this because they were the post office. And they thought they could get away with all of this, and that I was just going to go hide in a corner somewhere and I wasn't going to do anything about it, even though everything they've done is illegal. And yeah, the post office they might have their back right now. They might say, oh yeah, there's nothing we could do about it. You need to sue us. Even though I called them while
Is exfoliating mature skin a good idea?
If you've been avoiding exfoliating more than twice a week,
they were doing this to me and I was an employee, even though I called numerous times, followed everything I was supposed to follow, and they didn't. Yeah, that's a problem. But they don't care. They didn't care. Why didn't they care? Because they were hoping that this was going to happen. They were hoping it was just going to go away. I was just this person that was going to let it go, right? I wasn't going to go to Washington, D.C. next week and have appointments with, at the count right now, it's getting close to 20 senators and governors, and let them know what's going on with the post office. They weren't counting on that. They weren't counting on the fact that the post office's union is a joke. I followed my chain of command in the union, and they did nothing. They told me they were doing something. In fact, I have a recording of Ty calling me, asking me what my attorney was doing. And when I asked her, I needed a copy of the grievances that were filed, she told me that she didn't have any. She needed union time. So she had been lying to me all along. I told her on Sunday, when she said she would have them ready, to take a picture of them and send them to me so that I could get them to my attorney. I never heard from her again. Wayne is useless. They should not be allowed to have their separate union in Aspen. They aren't adult enough to be able to do this. I was the first that slipped between the cracks. And I found that out when I finally called my trainer at Grand Junction and asked him and told him what was going on in Aspen. Oops. Yeah, I'm back to my homemade studio. But that's okay, because this isn't as important as when Oregon Ducks soccer plays, which is coming up. Woohoo! Yes. Yes. Or when Oregon Duck football plays Texas Tech. Yes. Yes. And I get to go see all of them, everywhere they go. And I'm getting out to Duke to see Leah Freeman, Leapin' Leah Freeman. Okay, don't let me digress from this too much. So, where the hell did this all come from? Where the hell did these little post offices begin to think that they are little fiefdoms? That they could just do whatever they wanted to do? That they could treat people however they wanted? That they could literally falsify a police report and their superiors didn't care? That is beyond illegal. I mean, that is so illegal, it warrants jail time for the two of them. And they're going up against someone like me. No, I haven't been in the post office world. I had other things going on. You know, I mean, I'm sorry. I worked for the government. I was in Ukraine. I, speak Pashto. And 7 different other languages, Serbian, Croatian, a little bit of Russian in there, Arabic. I speak languages that are needed in difficult parts of the world. French, if you can believe that. Oh, my French is so bad right now. It's horrible. I tried to speak it to someone at our travel trailer park, which is another thing, because Eric had printed out this letter on Friday, and instead of calling me in on Friday, where I could hand him my resignation, he waited 3 more days, which meant I had to pay 3 more days to stay there. Because that's just how petty the post office is. So yes, I asked my trainer. He called their union rep. He said there wasn't anything they could do. They called the Human Resources and the Department of Labor. They said they were going to look into it, but it was looking like I was going to have to get an attorney. And he just apologized so much because this trainer knew how hard I worked and how excited I was to go to work there. So he was a very positive influence in my life. He knew what I wanted to do. And then I asked him about this, what happened at the post office or at the police station and what had happened at the post office. And I said, is this usual? And he just kind of paused for a moment and said, no, that's not even remotely usual. I don't understand it. As I've said before, my father never liked unions. I gave them a chance. As far as I'm concerned, there's no reason to have a union ever. So now what? They make more than $7.15 an hour. Great. That's great. It's not so great if they don't follow their own rules, if they don't actually do what they say they're going to do. If the only thing that the union is going to do is spend 3 years trying to get you a pay raise, please explain to me why we need a union. For a pay raise? We're paying them millions of dollars to get us a pay raise. They're not going to help us if management is doing something illegal. They're not going to help us if we're caught in a situation that we shouldn't be in and we need their help. They're not going to help us if our local union isn't doing anything and we have to go up to the next branch. What they want is our money. They really wanted my money. They made sure of that every single day. You know, have you paid your dues? 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 Yes, I paid my dues on the very first day when Eric came in because I thought, I will be a good post office employee. I will be a good union member. I will do what I need to do, and I will just be a shining example of what the post office is all about, right? I'll go in there, I will work and do everything that I need to do, and it's just going to be fun. I have a smart ass on here, Michael, who started work, I believe, right after I did, because he did not go through the same course that I went through. And he made the comment that maybe I just wasn't good at manual labor. Yes. Me, not good at manual labor. My father is a general contractor. He just retired. He had wanted me to take over the business. I worked with him, I want to say since I could walk, and worked on his business, and I worked on my grandparents' farm. I was heavily into sports, so I was constantly, I played baseball, basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, soccer. Is there anything else that you could play in between those times? So during the summertime, I played track, or I ran track, and I played softball. So I ran back and forth between those two. And I was doing the Junior Olympics, and we were doing softball as far as a competitive softball. So it wasn't just a league like some people have in town where you just, you play against other teams, which is what we had started out as. We went into a league to be extremely competitive. In fact, I started talking to my husband last night. I said, I would love to know what my batting average was, because basically every time I got to bat, I hit a home run. And I was generally fourth on the roster, and hit everyone in. I had a problem because my head was so small. I was so little. I weighed about 100 pounds. And my helmet would slip off, so I couldn't see. So I'd have to throw my helmet off, and I was called out because that was a no-no. So that's the only thing that I could consider. I mean, Jenny and I had so much fun. I could throw that ball to second base, and she knew perfectly how to catch it, and everybody got out second base. And it was just a blast. I mean, I would just, tell the person at third, I'm like, really? Do you want to try and get home? Really? Do you want to try and get home? Do you want to try and go back to third base? You're not going to make it either way, because either I'm going to chase you down before you get to third base, or I'm going to get you out before you get home. So you might as well just go. Just go sit on your bench right now, because that's what's going to happen to you. I was so cocky. It was so bad. It was so bad. But I used to have people come up to me and ask me, are you going to play softball next year? And I would have to tell them, no, I had to run cross country. That was my last year of playing softball, and I was almost in tears. I did not want to run cross country. Did not want to run cross country. But I was being forced to run cross country because of my athletic ability. So for Michael B. and Greg McCorkle and Eric Sanchez and all those others who say that I'm not used to manual labor, in between all of that, in between running and going to track camp and making the Junior Olympics and having to run 5-minute miles and 2-minute 800s, between all of that, my dad loved to go camping or just go out for the day and go water skiing. Well, guess who was the one that was being pulled the entire day? So for an hour or two, I was just water skiing. You may not think that's manual labor. Try it. Try it. Yeah. Try playing a softball game, maybe a doubleheader as a catcher, and doing what I did. And then try running a 1500 and then a 4x4, winning both of those. And then your dad says, well, why don't we go camping for the night? And let's take the boat. And Kimmy, let's go water skiing. I have so much energy, it's ridiculous. And it showed. It showed. Because after a week of working there, both Jackie and Eric came up to me and asked me if I would want to be the permanent, would want to take over Route 9 as my permanent route. And I said, yes, that would be so much fun. And that's when Greg McCorkle's head exploded. And Greg McCorkle is now following me, or is trying to, on TikTok. You can't find me in TikTok unless you knows my face. They gave me a porn name. It's hilarious. I don't know why they gave me a porn name. So yeah, I'm still used to manual labor. I can move myself. I can pick up furniture. My husband and I do this all the time. I've been working out for this race for 3 years. I built myself back up from congestive heart failure. My heart is doing so much better because of all this. So to try and say that, yeah, that's a big no-go. To try and say I was disrespectful, yeah, now I am. When I was in the office, no. The only time you could have said I was disrespectful was when they decided to be disrespectful, when all the women were out of the office and two men, because this is all sexual harassment, two men, after I had tried going through the union, after I had tried finding human resources through Nicole Martinez in Grand Junction, and I couldn't get an answer anywhere to get someone to help me. They called me in the office. They wanted to talk about my performance. My performance. The one where I was working my butt off on. And the van that I couldn't open the back doors to because the van was so beat up because it was Greg McCorkle's van. In 2 years, it looked like it had fallen off a cliff. I could not open the back doors to the van because it was so beat up. The engine light was on. The oil light was on. All the lights were on in that van. And I documented it every day. And what did I get? Oh, it's just a suggestion. Because that's what Eric Sanchez's world was. Everything was just a suggestion. So even though nothing worked, it didn't matter because it was all just a suggestion. You don't need to file that because that's just a suggestion. If your van doesn't work, it's just a suggestion. I could not open the back end, so I had to take a different van. The day before, Greg McCorkle threatened to shoot me. And Eric Sanchez told the police department that it was because I was jealous because Greg was going to get a management position. Now, I know nothing about a management position. I thought there was only one manager at a post office. I thought that was the postmaster, particularly when you only have something like 10 or 11 routes. There's a supervisor and a manager. If a supervisor is a manager, I knew he was going to be a supervisor. Was I thrilled with it? No, because everything I heard, it wasn't going to be good. Was I willing to deal with it? Well, yes, I didn't have a whole lot of choice, so I was ready to deal with it. I was just going to do what I had to do because I had already thought he was a supervisor and I was already responding to his texts as though he was a supervisor. And get this, I was getting in trouble for responding to his texts because I had mentioned that I thought he wasn't supposed to talk to me. And then Jackie said, well, it was my fault for responding back to him. Yes, it's the victim's fault for responding back to the harasser. Yes, that's right. Because I thought he was a supervisor. I didn't know what he was. Oh, was he a clerk? Was he customer service? Oh, what was he doing there? I didn't know. I'd ask people, I was like, okay, so what does he do so I know? And people were like, I don't know. Here's my light. I don't know. Okay, so then I've been here for a week, a little over a week. What am I supposed to do? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. Because how am I supposed How am I supposed to talk to somebody, deal with somebody, ask them for something, know what they're supposed to give me, etc., 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 if I don't know what they do in the post office? I'm a city carrier. If you give me something that I'm supposed to put in my case and then put in my boxes so that I can take and load them in my truck to deliver them, I know that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay? So that I do. If you give me something and I scan it and it scans no address, then there isn't anything I can do about this. And Greg liked to do that to me over and over again. And I got that quite a lot, that it would show nothing. And he was using that to try and prove that I didn't know what my job was. So I never did understand that power trip that he had to have. I never did understand why Eric had to have that power trip. I don't understand why there had to be a power trip in the post office. It's just the friggin' post office. We need to get the mail out to these people, and the mail is not getting out to Aspen. The mail isn't getting out to these little towns. They can't hire people. I came out here from my home in Colorado Springs. I bought a trailer, moved out to Aspen to work for you all, and all you've done is made my life a living hell for no reason whatsoever, except that I'm a female. And you do not want a female on your route. Because when I resigned, there was a male there. And that male now is being paid to live in a hotel, transportation, and per diem. I was being paid $22 an hour. No transportation, no per diem. I was paying for my trailer, and I was paying for the spaces it was staying in. You tell me what makes more sense. So Eric Sanchez is costing the post office a small fortune because of his ego and an inappropriate relationship with another postal employee. Because the relationship he had with Greg McCorkle, if it had been a female, it would have been called out right away. It would never have been allowed to happen. It was that close and that inappropriate. But it was a male, and so it was allowed to go on. You would never have allowed a female of a lower rank constantly sit in your office, laugh, giggle, do everything, take off, go to lunch, come back from lunch, sit in there, giggle some more. Greg goes and does some work, and then they go back in the office, giggle, do some more, and then they take off in their cars and go do some things and go to the gym, and then they come back. Greg does a little bit more work, and Eric might do a little bit more work, and then they come back together and they do the same thing, and this goes on day after day after day. Inappropriate. But it was allowed to happen. So this is what's happening next week. I have approximately 30 meetings with various senators and congressmen to explain to them what is happening in the post office. and to let them know specifically what's happening in Aspen. And more than likely, this is why they cannot keep employees in other areas. That the union is not following through on their part when it comes to taking care of their employees. And that the management is not doing their part when it comes to taking care of their employees. Stamps are going up because they are having to pay people to stay in hotels and pay for their transportation and pay for their per diem because they want to behave like children and think it's okay to threaten to shoot people and beat people up, beat other carriers up. And yes, it's documented, Greg. It's documented. You were arrested for doing this. You have an arrest record. If the post office and the union are allowing this to happen, you cannot have a functioning system. It cannot continue to go on because they aren't doing anything. They are taking your money, the union, and taking it to the top level and not doing anything for you. Management doesn't do anything for you. I spent over a week trying to get someone from Human Resources, and Nicole Martinez apparently couldn't understand what Human Resources was for. And I never did get a hold of anyone from the right Department of Human Resources, and when I did, I had already resigned. And I resigned ahead of Eric Sanchez supposedly firing me, and yet they let that go. They let it go. They let him get away with it without talking to me. The IG never talked to me. The whistleblowers never talked to me. No one has ever talked to me. They talk to him. Why is that? Why is it that you do that? Because there's something seriously wrong with your system. And I intend to let as many people next week know as possible. And I'm just getting started. Because the worst thing you did was give me free time. Because what you did was wrong. What you did to me was wrong. And I'm going to find everything you should have done and you didn't do, and I will then come after you for what you should have done. So I think that's enough for today. I will be going next week. But I would like to be able to do some things like Oregon soccer instead of how idiotic the post office is and how it needs to be shut down and started over again with someone that actually has a brain. We'll see. So until next time, this is Kim on Ramblings with Kim. Bye.